speakers for this morning. First, we are going to have our keynote speech, our keynote speaker. Now, allow me to introduce our first speaker for this morning. Okay, we're sorry for that. It's keynote speech. But anyway, as we continue, let me introduce Mr. Ronel Boholano. Mr. Ronel Boholano is currently the Division IT Officer of the Department of Education Division of Leyte. He was also a former teacher teaching basic algebra, advanced algebra, trigonometry, statistics, pharma informatics, and various computer-related subjects. He is currently engaged in traveling to different places to give technical assistances to educators in terms of ICT to education governance and ICT to teaching and learning. And aside from that, our keynote speaker is also a Microsoft Education Ambassador, a Microsoft Innovative Educator Expert, a Microsoft Innovative Educator, a Microsoft Innovator Educator Master Trainer, Microsoft Certified Educator, a Google Certified Educator Level 1, and also Azure Fundamentals AZ 900 Certified. I hope I have read and I have given justice to the achievements and to the affiliations of our keynote speaker. Everyone, let us all give a warm welcome, a virtual applause to our keynote speaker, Mr. Ronel Boholano, IT Officer from DEPA Division of Leyte. Sir, good morning.
Good morning. Hello. I'm Aubrey. Hey. Hello, good morning. I'm Aubrey.
Hey, sir, good morning.
Hello. Ayan. Just confirming, no, if naririnig ba ako.
Yes, sir,
Naririnig
you're
niyo
all
ba?
good po. Yes, sir.
Okay. Ah, teka, ito yung maganda ngayon eh kasi kita ko lang muna yung background, no. Tapos I think I'll just turn off my camera because yung internet ko yata dito parang may problema. But I'm alive, hindi po ako robot ngayon. So good morning po sa lahat, no. So thank you so much. I'll just turn off my camera first. Okay, and I'll present my presentation. Okay. Good morning. Again, so good morning, no. So thank you so much, no, for inviting for me to be here with you to speak about Education 4.0. So yan. When we talk about Education 4.0 kasi I always equate education to the future of work. So in this first screen, no, I mean in this first slide, so familiar po ba kayo sa picture na yan or ano yung device na yan? Gumagamit na ba kayo niyan? You can turn on your mics, ha? I mean your microphones if you want to answer. Sorry. Hello? Teka, I'll just stop. I mean, so if you know that, yan, drone. So yung iba hindi na nagtuturn on mics, no? So yan, may drone pala. So at least alam kong you are still with me. Okay, so yung drone po na yan. So yung question ko lang po doon is, I'd like to request everyone to go to this. Kindly go to menti.com and enter the code 68090318. Again, kindly go to menti.com and enter the code below to join. And the code is 68090318. So I'll stop sharing muna and I'll try to share another window. Ayan. So I'd like to request everyone to join, no? Again, if you have mobile phones, if you have laptops with you, kindly go to menti.com and use the code 68090318. So nakita naman po natin kanina yung drone, no? So yung question lang is, what jobs were endangered by the invention of a flying drone? So meron naman tayong ilang participants ba ngayon sa loob? Nasa, ano ba, 40? Around 40 participants. So at least man lang, no, kahit kalahati from this group will be able to join us dun po sa menti.com. Anyway, hindi ko naman po, no, malalaman. So wala pong maling sagot. No? Lahat po ng sagot ninyo ay tama naman. So still waiting, no? Yung code po, nandyan po, no? 68090318. Again, 68090318. So yun po yung code, or I'll try to type it in the chat box as well. That's 68090318. Okay, so merong nag-answer na dito on my end. Sabi niya, aerial delivery supplies. Yeah, delivery services, army. Imagine that, buong army nandyan. So mail carrier. May nagsabi din, security guard. So we have 4 responses. So still waiting for the rest. Lifeguards. Oh, interesting. So 5 pa lang po on my end. Still waiting for the rest. And I think you can submit as many as five responses, no? So we have that aerial delivery service, supplies, delivery services, spraying service, security guard, land and field surveyor, lifeguards, pilot, ano pa? So, yan. So mostly delivery services, CCTV, mail carriers. So we have 10 responses. Classic photography. Oh, yeah, no. Okay, so we have 11 now. Keep it coming. So delivery services, traffic monitors, travel guide, weather forecast. 14 pa lang. I was expecting to have 200 jobs, no? Listed there. More than 200 jobs actually. Sige nga, challenge natin yung mga participants natin. Paabutin to ng 200 na jobs. All in all. Environmental engineers. Yan, so we have 16 responses already coming from 40 something, 40 plus na mga audience natin ngayon. So, cameraman. So, ayan, nawalan ng trabaho o mawawalan ng trabaho si cameraman. Land and field surveyor, delivery services. Yan, no? So, we have 19 responses. Okay. So, habol na lang yung iba, no? So, na mag-answer, no? So, we have, yan, 20. So, at least kalahati na ng almost half of our participants right now already have responded to that question. So, yung question actually is what jobs are endangered by the invention of a flying drone? So, imagine, ladies and gentlemen, no, na with only one product na bago ngayon, bagong innovation, let us say, that was present 5 to 10 years, 5 years ago. So yan agad yung mga jobs that were already endangered, no? That could be possibly replaced by the machines that we as humans have invented, no? So education kasi is related to the workforce. Kasi in the K to 12 nga, there are some, the K to 12 the K to 12 uh, curriculum was designed na after ng basic education, there are how many options? Yung unang option doon is to go for the students in the basic education program to continue to the college or universities. The other option is for them to continue work. To the option to work, and then there's also the option to be an entrepreneur, and another option was to be in the sports or the arts track. No, so in the college also in the universities and state colleges, so dalawa din may parang ganun din siya na option, no? Apat din na options. Either when you graduate in college, either you work, you go to the workforce. Another option is for you to be an entrepreneur, and another option was for you to focus in the humanities, the arts, and sports. No, and well, the fourth option is not that, like, you stay at home and then you do nothing. Oh, di ba? So, but majority of us in the Philippines, in the Philippine context, after graduation, we actually wanted to find or to go to the workplace. Kaya nga, when we talk about Education 4.0, we need also to think about the future of the work, no? Not only in the Philippines, but actually in the global market. So imagine, with one flying drone, lahat po ng mga minention ninyo na ganyan na mga works are actually being endangered by single kumbaga innovation. How much more yung mga bagong innovation that are coming. So we also need to think about what is our role, no, as in the education sector. Ano ba yung role natin so that our future students, our students and future students will not be, replaced by this automation, by these AIs. So I'll stop sharing, and then I'll try to share another one. So you may do it there in your own, but I'll try to do it here in my own. So ito po yung website that I'd like to share. No? Marami nga lang siyang ads kasi this is a free website. Robotstakemyjob.com. So this is a website that gathers the analytics of different universities in the US, no. So parang data for good siya, para siyang Facebook data for good or Google data for good. So if you enter a job here, based from the data sets coming from, let us say, 20 years ago, it will analyze if what is the percentage that robots may take your jobs. So just like for example, ano ba yung magandang jobs ngayon? Accountant, sorry. Accountant ngayon, di ba? Malalaki daw yung sahod. Accountant and auditors. Teka. These are advertisements. again. So just like that, it is being shown here that accountants and auditors has an automation risk level of 50%. So imagine you are working. I mean, some of the students right now are trying to be an accountant, and then the only problem is there's a 50% chance of this work, accountants and auditors, to be automated in the coming future. Hindi siya malayong future, but this is a very near future because actually in reality right now there are already existing systems and solutions that are replacing the roles of accountants and making it digitized or automated. Okay? So another one, let's try another job. Anong job ba yung gusto nyong itry natin? Ah, anong job ba yung gusto nyong itry? Try natin yung job na gusto ng iba. Ano po? Try muna natin yung pilot, commercial pilots, no? Yan, at least yung commercial pilots, they're only 32%. Pero malaki pa rin yun. Imagine, 32% risk level of being automated. So, kasi nga, kanina sa drone pa lang, no? Drones right now have the capability to run remotely, no? So, how much more yung pilots, yung mga planes? It's not kasi may naglagay kanina doon sa Mentimeter natin that drones are endangering the role of armies, no. Actually, it's being used by the US Defense Department and other countries. They have been using drones to conduct to strike missiles, no, from far away, with targets with a greater chance of, or with a greater percentage of accuracy. Kaya yung ibang mga, instead of sending yung mga F-50 Raptors, na mga fighter planes, they're actually sending drones to conduct their mission. So mga strike missions nila. So yun. Now, let's try teachers. Try natin yung job natin. Yeah. May trabaho pa ba tayo? Kasi ilan tayong, how many years tayong for a while? Sorry about that. So try natin yung teachers, no? Kasi yan. Tadaan! Okay, so matuwa tayo kasi hindi tayo masyadong affected with the automation, no? Kasi meron pa siyang growth percent is 8.9% by 2030. So kasali yata tayo dyan, preschool, elementary, middle, secondary, and special education teachers. That's why pwede pa tayong huminga ng mag-relax, no? Kumbaga, kasi we are not part of this automation risk. However, meron tayong papakita ko sa inyo yung result, no, ng yung study conducted by the International Monetary Fund for a while, no. So congratulations, hindi pa kayo mawawala ng trabaho. Ayan. Na-try na natin to. Teka. So, yan. So this is a report of the International Monetary Fund conducted winter 2020 by Ma'am Zaidi, Managing Director of the World Economic Forum. So ganyan po yung result ng study natin that I'd like you to reflect on. Number one there is the workforce is automating faster than expected, displacing 85 million jobs in the next 5 years. So yan po yung may decreasing demand and increasing demand in the next 5 years. So, automation in tandem with the COVID-19 recession, actually nag-create siya ng double disruption, no, scenario, kasi the workforce right now is actually trying to adapt to the technology. Tapos dumagdag pa si COVID-19 and last year, no, ang laki talagang tama sa atin. Kaya medyo na fast forward tayo ng around 5 years. So that means if this report is expecting for the next 5 years, actually ito yung mga ins and outs right now na mga work due to the demand of COVID-19 and the pandemic, no. So, yan, tingnan po natin. So, another another result of the kumbaga another result of that is that robot revolution will create 97 million new jobs. So, kung merong nawawalang 85 million jobs, no, due to automation, meron namang magki-create ng another new 97 million jobs. But the only problem there is these jobs will focus more on artificial intelligences, tapos more on kumbaga humanities na side, no, because yung mga nagagawa naman ng automation at ng robots will now be given to them, while the rest of the jobs will be na hindi kayang gawin ng robots right now will still be given to humans. So in 2025, so that's around how many years na lang? 3 years. The coming 2025, analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility will be among the most sought after skills. So, dati tinatawag lang natin 'tong mga soft skills, no? I think I can still remember that these skills, analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility, are just called soft skills. But I'd like to change that, no? Na these are not soft skills for me, but these are essential skills in these years, no? Kasi sa dami ng automation, sa dami ng mga robots, how humans are different than robots and automation and artificial intelligences because of these essential skills that make us human. Okay? So, among others, hindi lang siya sa analytical thinking, creativity, and flexibility, kasama na rin dyan yung sa critical thinking, analysis, problem solving, tapos the other essential skills also na hinahanap ng mga work ng mga companies, ng mga institutions, and ng mga government institutions and private institutions right now includes self-management, such as active learning, resilience, tapos stress tolerance and flexibility. Medyo yun, challenging ngayon yung work natin kasi not because of social media but because of incorrect perception about social media, no, na ang dami sa ating nasi-stress because of we tend to compare ourselves to others. So we tend to forget that those posted in social media and other platforms, like for example in Facebook, in Instagram, in Twitter, you should always remember that most of those contents posted there are filtered contents. That means it's either in the extremes, no, walang magpo-post nun ng usual na events nila usually. Pino-post nila doon mga filtered. Kaya yung iba nape-pressure bakit ganito yung life nila compared to those yung mga fina-follow natin ng mga personalities in social media. We should always remember that these are filtered contents. That's why some of the workforce, I mean, majority of the workforce right now would really like to have skills in self-management, including yung sa resilience and stress tolerance. Kasi that's an essential skill right now. Because in other countries, the tendency of yung mga depression, anxiety disorders, and even suicide are very, are very high. They do have high cases, no? Then, number 4, since may mga tao naman tayo ngayon in the current workforce, the most competitive businesses will focus on upgrading their workers' skills. So, you need to stay significant or else, yun nga, you will be endangered to be part of those who will be affected greatly by automation, artificial intelligences, and robotics. So, for workers set to remain in their roles over the next 5 years, nearly half of our workers right now need to retrain our core skills. Tapos, government institutions and private institutions should work hand in hand, no, to really retrain our teachers, tapos learn or acquire new skills. We should not be compliant, no, na well, yung skill ko ganito, nag-graduate naman ako ng ganito, this is my specialization, we should not be compliant. We should learn to adapt and learn new skills kasi nga skills right now in our era in the industrial revolution 4.0 really are fast changing, no? So you need to learn a lot of things. So sinasabi dun sa report that one of those skills na gusto talaga nila is ganito. Majority, increasing yung blue dyan, then stable yung orange, and decreasing yung pink. So, number one pa rin na kailangan nga talaga natin ngayon are those with critical thinking and analysis, problem solving, self-management, and working with people. Kasi if tapos merong management and communication of activities, sila yung nasa top echelon, no? Kasi if you're going to inspect those skills thoroughly, sila yung these are the skills that separates us from robots and from automation. So these are the core skills that makes us human as we are. Now, sa mga nagtatanong if remote work will, kumbaga, sabi nila kapag tapos na si COVID, then we all go back to normal. But I'm sorry, I think these things right now that we are experiencing, this remote work, remote classes, blended learning options, is here to stay or are here to stay. So, nakita kasi ng mga companies natin that or ng mga institutions that actually we can do pala naman remote work, remote learning, though there are some, let us say, mga challenges, no. So just like in education, we also have our challenges. Okay? So kahit nga kanina nawala nga ako, 'di ba? Nawala ako nung nag-start because we all have our challenges. Okay? Now, I'll stop my tapos sorry. Meron palang ganito. Those are the requirements of Industrial Revolution 4.0. Tapos, yung challenge doon is how will it now, kumbaga, relate and translate to how we prepare our students for the workforce. So that's the question in Education 4.0. The past year, before the pandemic, we are trying to the look and feel of our classrooms are just like this. Okay? So before pandemic, so mga December 2019, I think up to February 2020 kasi the last time I went to Manila nung before pandemic was in March eh. So that's February 2020, pag graduation na yan, ganyan pa rin yung nakikita natin na learning environment in schools. Okay? Now, it's saddening. You know why? These pictures are not taken in 2020. These pictures are not even taken in 2019. These pictures are not even taken in 2018, but these pictures are taken in 1970s and 1980s. So imagine, the Industrial Revolution is fast changing while our educational system are still almost the same in the 1970s and 1980s. So imagine this na we have, kumbaga, we try to solve problems the same way kahit na yung problems are different in nature compared to what we have in the 1970s, 80s, and compared to right now. Kasi in the 1970s, majority of them in the workforce, yung kailangan nila is yung nasa factory, di ba? The usual mga productions. But right now, iba yung demand sa atin. So the question right now is, sa tingin ba natin, ano ba yung mga challenges natin in the education sector? So, palapit na po yung election, no? So I don't want to touch individual na mga candidates, but I'd like you to go again to your devices. Go to ano yun, menti.com. Teka, nasa na yun? Share ko lang siya, no? Yan. And then, try to answer the next question. Okay? If you will be the president of the Philippines, kumbaga ikaw yung tatakbo ngayon sa halalan, no? Tapos ikaw yung mananalo, What specific plans do you have for DepEd to achieve the demands of Education 4.0? Kumbaga, ano ba yung gagawin mong changes? If you will be the president na kaya mong magbigay ng pressures and influences to your senators, to your cabinet secretaries. So you have this much power. What specific plans or kumbaga ano ba yung wish list mo no for DepEd to achieve the demands of Education 4.0 if you are the president of the country? So I'd like to request 40 of our participants who are in this call to try to share no kumbaga their ideas. What or how will they do it? Ano yung mga specific plans natin? This same question should be also, if I may, kumbaga dapat kasali to na question no when we try to decide kung sino yung gusto nating maging leaders of our country in the coming years, in the next 6 years. So hindi lang porket ano lang yung rason mo, you should be able to answer this na if I vote for this person, ano ba yung specific plans niya for DepEd, CHED, and or the education system here in the country? Ano yung specific plans ng taong to? Diba? So if now I'm giving you this chance, if you will be the president, what specific plans do you have for DepEd to achieve the demands of Education 4.0? Ayan. Thank you so much no sa nag-answer first no. Sabi niya lessen non-teaching workloads so teachers can focus their energy to instruction. Then yan, focus on instruction with integration of right technology and lessen DepEd forms and other paperworks. So dalawa pa lang po yan. And I'd like to hear no, I'd like to hear the Ma'am Jinky. Pwede baka walang Mentimeter si Ma'am Jinky no. We also have answers in the chat no. Sabi ni Ma'am dito na increase salary, decrease paperworks, and decongest classrooms. So let's try to wait for the other participants to answer, no? And we have interesting answers and responses here. So to install internet connectivity for each classroom for learners, then to access a new educational platform with online medias, and also create educational assistance to students in procuring gadgets like cellular phone, laptop, or tablet. Then I will focus more on quality than quantity. Okay. Then let teachers focus on teaching and make CPD training free. Then build more schools and hire more skilled teachers. Then decrease paperwork and strengthen digital literacy of teachers. Invest in the technological advancement to support and improve the educational system in the Philippines. And DepEd should lessen the paper jobs of teacher and focus on teaching and hire people for the paperwork of teachers. Okay. There are still 8 no na nag-submit. So still waiting for around 30 plus na participants natin on this call. It's okay, no? I am really thankful for this, for your responses. No need to worry about your responses because we are in the kumbaga education sector. We are teaching our students to be critical thinkers, and you know, that's why kumbaga sabi nun, if we are defenders of freedom of expression and information, why fear, di ba? Why fear mga feedbacks, no? So that we'd like to, para malaman natin ano ba yung talagang totoong problem so that we can also give, kumbaga, totoong, I mean, proper no, na innovations or proper na mga actions. So, still, 8 pa lang po. Still waiting for the rest. Yan, Sham. DepEd should coordinate closely with the country's leading network providers. Okay. Maganda po yung mga responses ninyo. Later on po may sasabihin ako regarding this. I'm so excited. Okay. So, yun. Wala pa yung iba. Huwag pong matakot na mag-answer ha. Especially kung nasa Mentimeter naman kayo mag-answer kasi we cannot see who's who. Kung sino yung naglagay niyan dyan. Di ba? Sampu na. Sabi niya, focus on skills development of teachers. Skills development of teachers. Kung kayo to magiging presidente, so imagine if you're the president of the Philippines, you have so much power at hand. So you can push really for you can push for better legislations, mga laws, policies para mas mapaganda or ma-achieve mo yung demands of Education 4.0 coming from coming from those who are in the education sector just like us. Tapos sabi, study the major goal of teaching more than just paperworks. Ayan. Then maybe look into the budget and salary of teachers. Okay. Meron pa ba? Sabi niya dito, may nag-chat. Sabi niya, more focus on teaching rather than paperworks. So parang yan yung nakikita kong majority ngayon. Isa sa mga majority natin na answer. Nasa na yun? Provide more interactive technology for each teacher to be used in teaching. Okay. Still waiting for the rest now. For the rest of the responses. So 16 na, sabi niya. Sabi dito, nasa na yun? Provide the right ICT tools to both learners and teachers. Then hire teacher assistants for every class to let teachers focus in classroom engagements and not paperworks. Consistently promote the integration of ICT in the instruction, thus providing necessary tools and equipments and additional budget for infrastructure helpful for the teaching learning process. Aray ko po, natuwa ako bigla. Appoint Mr. Ronel Bolano sa Secretary of the Fed. Oh, I doubt. Because that's really a heavy job, no? So, medyo, yun. Investigate possible anomalies in the DepEd office itself. So, actually, there are cases. No? There are investigations. Yan. So, 19. I'm still waiting for at least, kalahati na tayo, no? Kasi 19 plus 2 other responses in the chat. Nasa chat po natin. Nasa chat in the Google Meet. So, now, let me discuss this one by one. So, hindi naman siya one by one, no? Kasi, sabi kasi doon, challenges and directions ng Department of Education. Kaya po tayo nandito ngayon. So, actually, yung mga nandito po na responses ninyo are most likely the challenges of the Department of Education currently. So, for example, the workload of teachers, 'di ba? Sabi natin na yung teachers natin nung sa wala pang pandemic, ang dami ng workload. So other than teaching, may mga paperworks, ganyan. Tapos nung nag-pandemic, mas lalong dumami yung workload ng teachers. Kasi ang daming modules na kailangang i-print, sila pa yung nag-print, sila yung nag-stapler, sila pa yung nagdi-deliver. Tapos minsan sila na lang yung nag-answer kasi walang answer yung mga modules. Di ba? Tapos sabi din dito na internet connectivity. So lumabas din dyan, internet connectivity. Oh, yeah. Internet connectivity for DepEd. The This is not a problem of DepEd alone. Actually, kahit saang sector ka ngayon in the Philippines, yan din talaga yung isang challenging na sector, internet connectivity. Then, gadgets like cellular phones, laptops, or tablets. Yun, technology na part. Then, yung sa CPD, training for free, may bayad ba yung iba? Kasi I understand it in the Department of Education, kung si DepEd naman yung nagkakandak ng training, that is really for free. Though there are some private institutions na who are conducting CPD trainings with pay. Kasi they have also some operational expenses. Then focus more on quality than quantity. Yeah, decrease paperwork, technology, major goal. Yan. Gusto ko to. DepEd should coordinate closely. But hindi lang sana countries leading network providers. DepEd and may add TESDA should talk with one another. Then, skills development of teachers, ICT tools, yun nga, gadgets to, then budget. I love this. Budget, di ba? Kasi if we are talking about mga teacher assistants, di ba? If we are talking about listening the paperwork of teachers, tapos ibigay na lang sa ano yun? Ibigay na lang yan sa mga non-teaching personnel. Nasa na yun? May nag-answer niyan kanina eh. Tapos para makapag-focus si teacher sa pagtuturo, ganyan. This involves budget. Okay? This involves budget. Kaya nga sabi, yung question is, if you will be the president. Kaya nga sabi ko, it's very, the being the president of the Philippines is very, very kumbaga, pinakamahirap na trabaho sa lahat. Kumbaga, sa buong Pilipinas, no? You know why? You need to weigh yung sinasabi sa economics natin, unlimited wants to limited resources. Limited lang po yung resources natin versus the unlimited ones of the different departments, different stakeholders like that. Let me stop my sharing and I'll share to you my screen. Punta tayo sa calculator. Sorry, I'm a math major in the in LNU. Let's move to calculators. Yan. Calculator tayo. Sorry. Yan. Kikita niyo yung screen ko sa calculator. So, sabi niyo kasi kanina, if you will be the president, sana may laptop, may tablet, ano yun? Sabihin na natin laptop. So, laptop, 35,000. That's, hindi pa yan magandang laptop. That's an entry level na laptop. 35,000. Entry level po yan na 35,000 times, let us say, how many teachers do we have in the Department of Education? That's 1 million. Congratulations, 1 million na tayo. And if you multiply it, that's 35 billion. So imagine that budget. Sa laptop pa lang, that's 35 billion. Laptop pa lang yan ng teachers. If, close ko muna to, that's 35 billion. Remember, 35 billion. If sabihin natin na wag lang laptop muna yung mga bata, yung kahit tablet lang muna. Tablet lang muna sila. 10,000 times we have 22 million students, almost 22 million or more than 22 million students right now in the Philippines. And that's 220 billion plus 35 billion kanina sa laptop ng mga teachers if tag-isa-isa sila. 35 billion. Yan ba? Equals. That's 255 billion already. So imagine that, no? 255 billion already. Nag-usap pa lang tayo doon sa laptop and tablets. Hindi pa po kasali dyan if we're going to increase the number of non-teaching personnel na i-assign ni DepEd para gumawa ng mga non-teaching, yung mga paperworks na sinasabi natin, no? Ng mga paperworks. Tapos, idagdag natin sa budget. And if we're going to increase another budget for the salary of teachers, sabi nyo, taas natin yung salary ng mga teachers, that's another budget. And then, we also need to remember na hindi lang si teachers yung gustong tumaas yung sweldo. So, let us remember our frontliners, the medical frontliners right now in the public sector. Kung ikukumpara po natin yung sweldo ng mga medical frontliners versus yung sweldo ng mga teachers, medyo nahuli din po yata sila. Though, yung mga uniform personnel natin, yung mga police tsaka military, medyo mataas yung sweldo nila compared to the teaching positions. So that's why teachers also are lobbying for a bigger salary. So if teachers are lobbying for a bigger salary, our medical frontliners and medical health workers will also be asking for additional salary for them, especially in these times of COVID-19. So in the macroeconomics level or the bigger picture, that would be additional budget for the Department of Education, and that will be also additional budget in the Philippine, di ba yung budget na that the Congress Senate are trying to pass, no, signed by the President. So that's an additional budget that will be taken from, syempre, saan yan kukunin? It's either sa tax, dalawa lang yan. Either tax ng mga tao, tatax natin yan sa lahat, or saan? Babaro tayo ng pera in the International Monetary Fund or so additional siya na utang. So yan po yung realities natin in the government, no? But I'm not saying na mali yung suggestion ninyo. Okay? So I'll stop presenting, then I'll proceed to the next slide yung sa akin na presentation. Okay? Sorry. Now, to sum it up, ito yung mga challenges in the Department of Education. Number one, yung structure. Yung structure natin, hindi lang siya sa Department of Education, but here in the Philippines, when we talk about Education 4.0, we have, kasi in the Philippines, parang tatlo, the Trinity, di ba? We have DepEd for the basic education sector. Then for CHED, we have, for state colleges and universities, we have CHED. And for the technical vocational courses, we have TESDA. Okay? In other countries, we only have Ministry of Education. But here in the Philippines, we have three. That's why there are some problems in terms of communications, in terms of policies. There are some policies of one that do not really, is not coherent to the other organization. Next challenge for DepEd is the curriculum. So medyo heavy pa rin yung ibang parts ng curriculum in terms of content. Tapos yung methods, di ba? Methods ng the way how we deliver the lesson. Kasi yun nga, we need to some are still using the way they learned before. And then the resources. So yun, isang pinakamalaking challenge yan, resources. We have for example, sa mga gadgets, di ba? How do we fund for that? For the buildings, for the tables and chairs, for the human resource, pinaka-importante po si human resource. How do we make sure that our human resource are ready for this Education 4.0? How do we try to help to retrain them or train them if they're not trained, or if they're trained, retrain them to the current trends in the emerging technologies? Technology-wise, internet sa Pilipinas, naku po, one of the medyo mababa yung quality. Later po may sasabihin tayo niyan. Then perception din ng iba is yun, parang attitude perception towards digitization and automation kasi sabi nila parang hindi pa yan mangyayari. We are still in the denial stage but actually we are now in the middle of these things. Kumbaga nangyayari na in front of our eyes but we choose to close our eyes in these realities. Culture, culture ng Filipinos, yun, parang we are contented in what we already have na kapag nag-aral ka ng education, you're expected to really work, no, as teachers. If you are graduate ka ng nurse, dapat nurse ka. Part siya ng culture natin. Then vision, challenge natin yung common vision, no? Common vision ng ating mga leaders, not only in the government but also in the different government institutions and private sectors. Kasi if we're working towards different and varied visions, we will not go somewhere. Di ba? If we want to move forward, we need to have one common vision agreed by everybody na kung meron kang one common vision, we should be able to plot our steps, no, individual but contributory steps towards that common vision. So the Department of Education tries to solve that problem by the following: mga possible solutions and course of actions. So it already have started the Trinity. Sinabi yung Trinity dito is DepEd, CHED, and TESDA should constantly communicate their plans, programs, and policies to achieve coherence and synergy in their activities towards solving yung ating issues in the Industrial Revolution 4.0. Kasi if that's the trend in the Industrial Revolution 4.0, that should be also given yung dapat yun din yung pinoprovide natin in the Education 4.0. So, for example, in the Department of Education, we are trying to have these programs. For example, yung mga we have this Office 365 right now. We are into Azure. We have this Google Suite for Education. That in mind, the Commission on Higher Education or the teacher training institutions should also produce yung mga students, yung mga magiging future teachers ready for these challenges in the Department of Education. Kasi may mga times na nung nag-graduate yung bagong teachers natin from the teacher training institutions, hindi siya na-train na ganyan pala yung nangyayari in the Department of Education. That's why nung pagdating niya kay DepEd, bigla siyang na-shock. Kaya importante yung sa amin before, I don't know if that's still existing, yung kumbaga field study, no? Na dati parang wala lang sa akin yung field study, but now I realize na that field study thing in the Department of Education, in the CHED before was supposed to be or is very useful, no? Para makita ng mga nagre-ready pa lang natin ng mga teachers, nagpa-practice pa lang, ano ba talaga yung magiging dadatnan nila when they come to the Department of Education. So then meaningful, tech-focused, innovation-friendly, essential skills, and more humanly curriculum, including the implementation of new measurement mechanisms for Education 4.0 skills. Now, kapag sinabi natin, if we talk about curriculum kasi, minsan, nagkakaroon tayo ng problema kasi we are still on that parang practice natin in using paper and pencil test as the sole measure of assessment. Na though sinasabi naman natin na hindi dapat siya ganun kasi meron naman tayong portfolio assessments, di ba? May mga skills-based assessments tayo. Kaso nga lang, may mga practices din na nagre-require tayo na talagang dapat yung traditional pa na dapat printed, na dapat nakikita talaga nila the way they have been displayed before. Na in portfolio, for example, in portfolio assessment, we can have different kinds of portfolios right now that are digital in nature. Yung mga students natin are in the Generation Z or the internet generation, they are digital natives, they have this characteristic na they have more screen time, they are more visual. So bakit tayo kumbaga nililimit natin sila to printed materials, printed outputs na assessment? We should in the Department of Education, we should be able kumbaga dapat hindi lang sa DepEd to, in the education sector, we should be open to those digital na mga outputs because our students are in that platform. Diba? Why do you think students listen more in Spotify rather than listening to you in kumbaga in the face-to-face classes? Why do students would like to read Wattpad and other electronic digital books, no, compared to reading books, physical books in the libraries? Because they're born that way. Their medium of communication, their platform of communication is digital. So, kumbaga, as teachers, we should start where our students are. That's why it's very important that teacher training, trainings like this, para at least ano yun, ma-retrain natin yung mga teachers and future teachers natin that these are the new things right now that you need to adapt para mag-survive. Otherwise, robots will take your job, di ba? Okay? Now, in the Department of Education, we also have this game-based learning approach. There are two types, no? We have gamified learning and game-based learning. Our yun nga, our students are digital natives. They wanted more screen time. So if they are there already, why not make use of that platform for you to be able to teach your contents, to be able to teach skills, to be able to teach those analytical thinking skills, those essential skills which I have mentioned earlier, can be also taught using Minecraft Education Edition. So there are, hindi po to yung Minecraft no na yung usual na Minecraft. There are a lot of lesson plans ready for this, lesson activities ready for this in the Minecraft Education Edition. There are a lot of support here coming not only from the Philippine educators but majority of the educators worldwide, especially in the first world countries, are using this. Okay? In the Department of Education also right now, yeah, we are starting to teach, no, we are starting to teach coding at an early age because as you have seen in the previous slides that I have, coding is one of the essential skills that you'd like to learn if you wanted to survive in this industrial revolution 4.0. It's not because teacher ka you should not be able, you are not coding. Well, I'm telling you, every one of us are actually coding in our day-to-day basis. So simula nung you have this routine na ikaw yung may alam, 'di ba? Na may sinusunod kang program every day. Nung pagising mo ng umaga, anong susunod mo na gagawin? Either kakain ka ba muna or maliligo ka muna, magtututbrush ka, ganyan. You have this certain routine or program na ginagawa mo siya every day. O, example, nagtitimpla ka ng kape. You might not be, hindi siya conscious, no? Pero kung iisipin mo, meron kang program, routine na ginagawa kapag nagtitimpla ka ng kape. Iba-ibang tao, iba-ibang routine yung ginagawa. So for example, inuuna mo muna yung kape, asukal, then yung creamer, if you do creamers. Then before the water, meron na iba, water muna, ganyan. Though you can do it many ways, pero specific person do have this unconscious practice or program coded in their day-to-day lives na ginagawa natin unconsciously, nagpo-program tayo. We are coding. Okay? That's why we are teaching our students this what we call block programming. Kasi hindi mo kailangan na mag-memorize ng codes. You are just trying to click and drag actions, no? Sabi, when run, repeat 4 times, do, ganyan. But yun nga, tinuturuan natin yung mga students right now to do programming at an early age, as early as 3 or 4 years old. So that when they go to college or high school, when they're introduced to different types of programming language, it will be much easier to them. Oh, ginagawa natin to now in DepEd no, currently. Okay? Then in the Department of Education also, as part of yung sabi nga natin kanina, the retrain teachers or acquire new skills, it is also a must for teachers right now. Right now, this hindi siya before. It is a must of teachers right now to know and to at least be aware and try to make use of these tools for them to design their own web page, to design their own materials, di ba? Nag-edit tayo. We have this Canva for education, and we have this Adobe Creative Cloud Suite na ginagamit natin in the Department of Education. So for DepEd, we have these licenses given to our teachers. So para magkaroon ng license for Adobe, may our teachers are required kasi in the DepEd meron kaming tinatawag na DepEd Learning Management System, DepEd LMS. So isa siyang course doon about Adobe. And then bawat course doon, they need to they need to read and then participate in the exercises and then pass the assessment for them to acquire the Adobe licenses. Kasi sayang din naman kung ibibigay lang namin si Adobe license tapos hindi rin naman nila alam kung paano gamitin. So sayang. That's why they need to really learn on their own kasi may mga activities naman doon. And then if they pass, we are giving them free license ng Adobe Creative Cloud. So, ganyan, no? So, mahal yan. Pero the Department of Education is willing to give it to our teachers. Diba? So, just like Canva. And in the Department of Education also, kasama sa pinakaunang ibibigay sa'yo or pwede mong hingin in the Department of Education, yung tinatawag ng iba, DepEd email, commonly known as the DepEd email, commonly used as ginagamit pang utang daw sa loan, 'di ba? Namang if you have known some teachers, ginagamit nila 'yan for lending institutions. But in reality, there's more than the DepEd email inside because that's actually the G Suite for Education or ngayon that's the Google Workplace. So buong suite po 'yan ng education ng Google na binigay po for DepEd, especially for DepEd. So unlike personal accounts, DepEd or yung mga DepEd na mga accounts in the G Suite for Education are in enterprise version. So that means we have more features compared to the natural account, di ba? And in the Department of Education also, actually 2 years ago, binigay yung Microsoft 365 or Office 365 applications kasama ni Dep na kumbaga as a new teacher, meron ka ng G Suite, meron ka pang binigay na Microsoft 365 subscription. So, imagine, lahat yun binigay ng DepEd for teachers and students. Imagine, teachers and students, binigay siya ni DepEd for our teachers and students really to help na at least may armor na meron silang magamit when we talk about Education 4.0. Kasi these are the same tools. We have Microsoft 365, we have G Suite for Education, we have Adobe. These are the common tools, yung mga productivity tools na ginagamit ng mga different establishments. Kahit pa in the recent surveys, these are the necessary tools if you are going to apply in the workforce right now. So kumbaga basic requirement mo yan that you should be able to know or to use these applications in the workplace. Then, yun. In the Department of Education, we also encourage certifications, industry-specific certifications. There are programs in the National Education, in NAEAP, and in the BHROD or that would try to sponsor yung mga certifications if you want to get certified. So these international certifications through our partners for example, in DepEd Leyte, we have partners in Line Learning and in Audentes Technology and in Microsoft, Google, and in Adobe na if you wanted to get certified in that specific skill, we try to arrange to put you into certifications because certifications really help to document that your skills really are valid. Okay? Next is in the DepEd din, yun. Currently kasi in DepEd, we have different information systems. We have the Enhanced Basic Education Information Systems, the Learners Information Systems, LRMDS, the DepEd Commons, LMS, and many others. Kaya nga yung sa Department of Education rin, medyo napupuno rin sila sa usernames and password. But hopefully, coming naman siya, and Leyte is one of the pilot implementers now. We are having this ERP or the Enterprise Resource Planning System. So, DepEd is trying to, kasi itong kanina, hindi po nag-uusap-usap yung mga data na yan. Yung database ng mga systems, information systems na yan are not talking with one another. So we suggested to DepEd na kung pwede para siyang data warehousing wherein each of those systems would talk to one another and create an enterprise resource planning system for DepEd. And DepEd is trying to do that. This is also to minimize yung issues and concerns kanina about paperworks, about reports na si teacher yung gumagawa tapos ang dami pa paulit-ulit na pwede naman sana if that is stored in one single database no na pwedeng ma-harvest yung data anytime at hindi na paulit-ulit yung mga reports. So as this is in response no to the challenges of the education 4.0. Now, DepEd also have provided for how many years no yung mga sinasabi natin tablets, laptops, TV, lapel, may mga 2-in-1 PC pa yan, detachable na mga PCs. Pwede pa yung mabasa, no? Huwag lang sasadyain. Yung mga smart TVs na tulad niyan, binibigay din po yun ng DepEd sa mga students natin, schools and teachers. Kaso nga lang, hindi ko lang yan pinakita pero may mga tablets po dyan, bawal kasi ngayon, na binibigay ng mga LGU, no? Ng mga LGU. So, hindi ko alam kung talagang tumutulong si LGU properly. Ako baga, or na timing lang talaga na pa-election kaya iba yung naiisip ko, di ba? Kasi yung sa akin, kaya naman pala nating magbigay na yung LGU, magbigay at tumulong sa mga schools in terms of procurement of tablets and laptops. Why only now? Yun yung question in mind ko rin. But still, we are really thankful no for the local government units na nagbibigay ng mga ganitong support in the Department of Education. I hope na hindi lang dahil sa election ngayong parating, but kung kaya naman palang gawin in this year, so pwede siya ulit gawin nila in the next years to come. Kasi to help DepEd, kasi the DepEd's budget really is not enough. No? Kasi we have unlimited needs nga, dami nating kailangan pero limited yung ating resources. Otherwise, yung ating mga tao din kasama natin sa bansang to yung magsasuffer due to tax or to the loans na gagawin ng government natin. Okay? That's why we need help. We need help. Kumbaga, just like what we're doing now na if DepEd would be able to help CHED and TESDA in any way possible, and CHED can also help DepEd and TESDA can help DepEd and CHED, di ba? So, magandang practice yung ginagawa ng tatlong institutions na yan. Not like inter-agency na tulong, but it's very heartwarming no, na makikita natin that there are a lot of private sectors also who are trying to help no our education sector na malampasan din yung Education 4.0 na challenges to answer din yung need ng Industrial Revolution 4.0. Yan. So thank you so much for listening. No? If you have questions, please be you may go. Nag-advertise, sorry. Hindi ako humingi ng permission, nag-advertise bigla. If you have questions or if I can be of help to any one of you, you may like to follow the Facebook page, YouTube or Instagram pages in my account. So thank you so much. Good day, everyone.
Thank you very much, Sir Ronel Boalano, for sharing to us such helpful insights in Education 4.0 and enlightening us, of course, with the issues and trends in the field of education, as well as the possible solutions, and of course, the action plan. But most of all, sir, thank you for letting us know that our job as teachers is not yet endangered. That's good to know. and we still have this big role in the community and in the teaching learning field and arena. So at this point, we would like to share to you your certificate of recognition. In this case, in this instance, I mean, well, this case would be possible as well. We call on our project coordinator, Mr. Orlando Vincolado, Jr., to share to us and to award to you the certificate of recognition. Sir, Orly.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Obs. Sir Ronel, thank you so much po. On behalf of the Philippine Normal University, the OST, DepEd, and of course the 3NS and Leyte Normal University, this certificate is presented to Sir Ronel Buholano. The certificate reads, Republic of the Philippines, Department of Education, in partnership with Philippine Normal University, the National Center for Teacher Education, and Lady Normal University award the certificate of recognition to Mr. Ronel Buholano for sharing his time and expertise as keynote speaker in the webinar Remote Teaching and Learning 4.0, held on November 25 to 27, 2021 and December 10 to 11, 2021 via Google Meet. Signed, Evelyn B. Aguirre, DA, President, Leyte Normal University. Signed, Bert J. Tuga, PhD, President, Philippine Normal University. Signed, Ronvi V. Manguera, PhD, Executive Director 2, Teacher Education Council Secretariat, Department of Education. Thank you so much, Sir Ronel. Thank you po.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. At this point, if it's okay with everybody, I'd like to request everybody to open their cameras for our screenshot, our picture taking. So, ganun na lang tayo. Screenshot na lang. If that's okay, we'd like to request everybody to open their cameras. And also, I'd like to ask the help of our facilitators to take the screenshots for our pictures. Grab your photos. Can I ask everybody to open their cameras if you're comfortable with that? And of course, we also would like to invite our speaker, Sir Ronel Buholano, to open your camera first, sir, so that you can have a picture with you, our souvenir. Our technical team is now working on the screenshot. So at the count of 3, I'd like everybody to flash their smiles because we're happy because our job as teachers is not yet endangered. Buhay pa tayo, lalaban pa. Everybody, 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, another one for the next slide, next panel, if we still have. 1, 2, 3, meeting, may trabaho pa. Thank you, of course, to everybody for opening your cameras and for participating in this part of our activity for this morning. Once again, thank you, Sir Ronel Buholano, for sharing to us your expertise and your time. Next part of our morning's conference is a little icebreaker, if that's okay with everybody. Okay. So in that case, because we would want and we're so much excited to continue our discussion, we will save the icebreaker for the next session. Of course, we will have our icebreaker activities on the next days to come and be ready for that. Of course, as we continue our conference for this morning, we now have our second speaker. And I think you know our speaker for this morning. Now allow me to introduce our speaker. Our second speaker for today is an Associate Professor 4 of Leyte Normal University who belongs to the Professional Education Unit. Our speaker has a specialization in the following fields: the teaching profession, principles and strategies of teaching, field study and teacher internship, child and adolescent development, facilitating learning, K-12, araling panlipunan, and edukasyon sa pagpapakatao, social science, values education, guidance and counseling. And aside from this, our speaker also has attended and organized webinars on different topics like that of flexible learning modalities and techniques. Everyone, join me in welcoming our speaker, Professor Cristina N. Estolano. Ma'am.
Good morning. Can you hear me? Hello, good morning.
Yes, ma'am. We can hear you po.
Am I edible or audible? Edible or audible? Allow me to share my screen. How many are here today? Can you see?
Yes, ma'am. Oh,
Oh,
you can
can
see
you
the
see?
banner po.
Yeah, okay. Good morning, everyone. Where are the participants? How are you today? How are you feeling today? Hello, participants. It's okay if you will turn on your audio, even your camera, so I'll be able to see you. Come on. If it is possible for you to say hello, that would be appreciated. Could you say hello? How are you? Good morning, perhaps. I'd like I need the help of the facilitator. For the facilitators, please check on the chat box for the responses of the students. I'm going to give a prize as usual whenever I deliver a lecture. There's always a prize. Okay. Prizes at stake for the most participative participant. Okay. And that would be the job of the facilitator to check who is the first to answer, who is the first to respond, and who has the most answers. I will tell you the price later, but definitely there are prizes. Now, will you please go to your chat box and try to indicate there what you feel today by putting an emoji. Put an emoji smiling if you feel happy and put an emoji sad if you feel sad. Come on. Facilitators, please try to check who is the first to answer, huh? The first to answer always. For every question that I pose, the first to answer, and then we will raffle those who are able to answer first. That there are happy, some are sad, but at this time, since it's already 11 at 10:45, some are probably hungry, but I hope you are not. Now, we'll try to finish our session. Maybe we will just go a little farther than 12 o'clock. If it is all right with you, we will end at about 12:15 or 12:30. Is it okay with you? Could you put the
Yes,
emoji
ma'am.
approve? Approve, I'd like to see. Can you, yes or approve? Please excuse my dog. He keeps on barking at this time. I cannot kill my dog. That's a problem that I usually have whenever I'm conducting a class because the dog is noisy. Okay, let's move to the first activity. Guess who? We will have two guess who questions. Guess who said that quotation? You cannot teach today the same way you did yesterday to prepare students for tomorrow. Who said that? Please answer on the chat box. Or if you want to answer orally, it's okay. Marvin, kindly check who give the correct answer first. Who give the correct answer first. Okay. The correct answer, how many? How many were able to answer? That is very good. Many were able to get the correct answer. And the correct answer is John Dewey. John Dewey is a pragmatist, and then he is also a progressivist. He is well known for the principle learning by doing. He is an experimentalist. His theories are on experimentalism and instrumentalism. While Gagne uh, talk about conditions of learning, the 8 types of learning, and 9 instructional events. Jerome Bruner, on the other hand, is a constructivist. He is involved in discovery learning, and he came up with the 3 modes of representation, such as inactive, iconic, and symbolic. Let's go to the next. What then is the message of that? From that quotation, what is the main idea that you're able to get in terms of the remote teaching and learning for education 4.0? Any answer? Being relevant. What else? Dynamic. Okay. Any other answer? Adaptive, flexible. We should constantly improve our teaching. Be innovative. Very good answer. Your answers are all correct, but the most correct answer is there is a time for change and we need to have paradigm shift. Okay. I hope you get that. Nobody got the correct answer, the exact correct answer, but if you put there change, time to change, then time to shift, then we could accept that answer. Next, how about this one? Who are these people? Who said, what is the answer for science? If you are science major, I'm sure you will know that. Very good. Most of the answers are letter A. Who gave the first correct answer? Marvin. Hello, Marvin. Who gave the first
Rod
correct answer?
Kapitanan, ma'am.
Okay, congratulations. The correct answer is Charles Darwin. Charles Darwin is a naturalist. He came up with the theory of evolution through his book Origin of Species, and then he gave that quotation. That's his original quotation. And if you're going to look at this person, Leon C. Meganson came up with a rephrase. He rephrased Charles Darwin's quotation, and he said that it is not the strongest of the species that survives, not the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. That is the rephrase made, a rephrasal made by Meganson on Charles Darwin's original quotation. How about Edward Lee Thorndike? Do you know him? If you have taken, correct, if you have taken education courses, he is very famous for the loss of learning. What is the message of that quotation? What is the main idea of that quotation? In one word, what is that quotation all about? Adaptation. Miss Libre, I think you were able to give the correct answer earlier also. Any other answer? The correct answer is adaptability, being able to adapt. And so during this pandemic, there are a lot of changes that happened to us. Am I correct? Many changes happened. Education during the COVID-19 pandemic continued with many challenges. We are now living and working in the new normal. And in the new normal, education systems shifted from face-to-face to remote teaching learning modalities. This indicates that the usual practices in teaching and learning are different now for both teachers and learners, and there is a need to adjust and adapt to the changes in the education system and to the innovations on the delivery of instruction. So hence this session, in this session, there are 6 objectives. First is for you to be able to, for us to be able to revisit DepEd orders and other issued interim guidelines as basis for the implementation of distance learning, because in DepEd, you cannot just implement anything without legal basis. And there are DepEd orders and DepEd memorandum that has been given to different regional offices, district offices, and to different schools for them to know for them to be guided on what to do during the pandemic and what to do up to this time. Second is for you to be able to describe remote learning environment. As you can see, we are no longer in the face-to-face learning modality. We move to the remote learning environment. Third is, do you know your learners? Do you know the kind of learners that you have? Are they the same with the kind of learners that you have when there was face-to-face learning modality, or when you were students? Are they the same? Are you the same with the students now? Well, in this session, you will learn the characteristics of the students in the new normal. Next is you should be able to apply techniques and approaches in managing learning environment in the remote learning environment in the new normal. And then for you to be able to create a remote learning management plan, last but not the least, for you to realize the importance of teachers' role in the remote learning modality. Okay, so those are the 6 targets that we have today. Hopefully, we'll be able to finish that past 12 o'clock. Let's start with this. What is that? I'm sure you are familiar with that. If you're going to look at the picture, it means the legal basis or legal mandates in the implementation of distance learning. There are 4 legal bases in the implementation of distance learning. These are DepEd Order number 12, Series 2020, DepEd Order number 31, and then memorandum. DM is department memorandum. CI means curriculum and instruction, and then the other one below, OUCI, means Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction. So the 2 memorandums come from the Undersecretary for Curriculum and Instruction, while the 2 upper DepEd orders come from the Secretary of DepEd, which is Secretary Briones. Clear so far? What is DepEd Order number 12, Series 2020? I'm sure you are very familiar with this because this has been implemented since 2020. This is the adaptation of the Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan for school year 2020-2021. This, all the legal basis has been operationalized, which means that they are still true to school year 2021-2022. I hope you understand. Did you get that so far? Could you put on the chat box yes if you understand? Come on. Participants, yes, go on. Very good, thank you. And as you could see, DepEd Order number 12, Series 2020 has indicated the different learning modalities, which are, if possible, a school could have face-to-face. If not, then they are expected to move on to distance learning, blended learning, and homeschooling. The modalities would depend on the learners and the parents. Now, let's move on to another legal basis. This one is about the interim policy for assessment and grading in the light of basic education continuity plan for school year 2020-2021. And as I've mentioned earlier, this has been operationalized and it is still true up to this time, 2021-2022. These suspended some provisions of Deped Order number 8, Series 2015. Deped Order number 8, Series 2015 is the policy guidelines in classroom assessment and the K-12 for the K-12 program. There are some provisions that has been implemented in Deped Order 31, Series 2020, such as adapt assessment to ensure education continuity while working or looking after the health, safety, and well-being of the learners, teachers, and personnel. Schools are expected to adapt assessment and grading practices that can most meaningfully support students' development and respond to varied contexts during the pandemic. And these are the principles. I just selected some important points because it's very long, and this is just refreshing you with perhaps what you have been oriented by your school. I hope you're oriented. Who among you are already teaching? Will you put me? Who is already teaching? Go to the chat box, please, and put me. Very good. Where are you teaching? In Tacloban City? Could you put there if you teach? Ella, where are you teaching, Ella? Are you teaching in Tacloban City? Hello, Ella. Oh, nawala si Ella. Eastern Samar, Catbalogan, Samar. Wow, you are very far from here, far from me. But that is good that we are able to convene through this webinar. Now, the principles indicated in Deped Order number 30, Series 2020 are: assessment should be holistic and authentic in capturing the attainment of most essential learning competencies. Second, or letter B, assessment is an integral part of measuring understanding of students' learning and development. Then, a variety of assessment strategies is necessary in formative assessment, taking priority to inform teaching and promote growth and mastery. Next is, this is not just the task of the teacher, but a shared responsibility between the teacher and the learners, as well as the parents. Then assessment and grading should positively impact the learners. So as much as possible, there should be positive impact of the assessment process, meaning when they take an assessment, they should feel that they are being tested to measure what they have learned, not that they will have the anxiety attack whenever there is an assessment. Well, most students have that. Another policy is to uphold the integrity of learning and instruction. Teachers should demonstrate fairness in grading. There should be reasonable leniency. Why is there reasonable leniency? Because some of the students have probably difficulty in studying. But when we say reasonable leniency, it doesn't mean that there will be mass promotion, although it's probably is the practice, but that is not what reasonable leniency is. It means that simply giving the students a chance to submit all the requirements that we have, that they are required to submit by extending the time or the period of submission. Then, to address the challenges, the responsibility in assessment includes the teacher who is supposed to make the examination either on the module, or it could be online, or it could be, no, it's not, it could also be done by telephone, or it could be by video conference. And then the learners are expected to be honest in answering. The parents are expected to assist the students um, in coming up with the requirements, but not to make the requirements for the students. Because if that would happen, then we are testing the parents, not the students, and we will have, you will have difficulty determining if the students are really learning or not. Let's move on to the other legal basis, which is on the screen. This is the suggested strategies in implementing distance learning delivery modality. And the different learning modality that has been suggested are on the screen. You have distance learning, which could be modular. And in terms of modular, it could be modular, which is digital printed if the students have computers. If they don't have, they could go to the school or the area where they could pick up and submit the modules. So that is for printed modular distance learning. Another is online distance learning for those who have computers, for those who have access to internet. And the TV radio based instruction, actually, they are supplemental way for the students to learn. But in my readings, it says that they could also be used as a solo or a separate learning modality. So a student could opt for a TV video based instruction or a radio based instruction. Then there is also blended distance learning, meaning a combination of the three: the modular, the online, and the TV radio instructional delivery mode. May I know from the participants, what learning modality are you using? Will you please provide answer on the chat box? What learning modality? Blended. Okay, that's good. When you say blended, the students were given modules, and then at the same time, they are probably attending online distance learning. Am I correct? Correct. Modular and online. That is good. Another memorandum coming from the secretary, the undersecretary for curriculum and instruction, is the suggested measures to foster academic ease during the pandemic. Okay. And what are the key challenges according to this memorandum? Teaching responsibilities of teachers, and then learners' activities to learners, assistance of the parents. Why? Because there were teachers who were assigned to do certain tasks when they were actually not prepared for it. There were activities given to the students when they are actually not prepared for it either. And there were expectations that parents would assist the learners. Unfortunately, the parents could not. Why not? Because how could a mother or a father teach reading to a student when the parents are illiterate? So how can a parent teach about mathematics when the operation indicated in the modules well, the parent does not know how to compute that or how to understand it. So there were difficulty in terms of cooperation. But it was expected that parents will assist. Nevertheless, um, these challenges continue, and hopefully you will be able to help resolve it. Now let's move on to remote learning environment. When we talk of remote learning environment, it is a process of teaching and learning performed at a distance. In other words, a remote learning environment is any place, any time, any resources where a student may learn. If a student is reading Putusin Gao and he learns something from it, then the student is actually learning. If that student is somewhere in the kitchen while cooking, then that becomes the learning environment of the students. However, for elementary or for K to 12 students or for college students, there is a structure that has to be followed. Why? Because the subjects or the courses taken by students has credit points. For them to be promoted to the next ladder, they have to follow certain structures as indicated in the different memorandum and order from DepEd. So moving on, when we talk of remote learning, it is the space, time, interaction, and resources that attempts to mirror the classroom environment through distance education. So meaning when we talk of remote learning environment and education, it tries to mirror, it tries to copy what is supposed to be done in the classroom. However, the methods and strategies would, of course, vary because the instruction is not done physically, but it is done where the students are remote, just like we are actually having remote learning. And what is the learning environment that we have? The computer. This is the space that we are using in order for you to learn. So that's part of the remote learning environment. Why is interaction included? Because the feeling that the students get whenever they attend online class, for example, is part of the learning environment. There has to be a positive social interaction between the teacher and the student and among students who are participating on online classes. There should also be a positive atmosphere at home so that when the child is studying, they will be able to focus on the lesson. If it's very noisy in the house, then how could they possibly learn? Or if they are asked to do a lot of errands instead of studying, how will they learn? So everything, every area, every space, including the computer, is part of the remote learning environment. It's not remote if it is face to face. Why are we so into remote learning environment? Is this something new? No, this is not new. Actually, distance learning in the Philippines is traditionally defined as any educational or learning procedure in which the guide and the students are separated geographically. There is no interaction between students. That is the traditional definition of distance learning. Later, you will see that there has been an evolution in the definition of distance learning. Then distance learning is also known. Distance learning is also known as distributed learning. It could also be remote education or distance education is distance learning, distributed learning, or remote education. They are actually used interchangeably. However, actually, there is a difference, but there is minimal difference. Then, when we talk of distance education, it involves acquiring information from methods other than the traditional way of learning, which is done inside an institution face to face. The recent definitions have focused on the new developments such as in advanced technologies. So present day distance learning is influenced a lot by computer and electronic technologies. The technologies has now made it possible for a guide or a facilitator and a student to connect almost immediately. Therefore, distance learning now has become interactive. That is one good point. The types of distance learning before were limited to internet, video, and audio. In terms of internet, students receive instructions through websites, email, electronic bulletins, and messaging system. Then, in terms of video-based courses, there are two types of video-based courses, the pre-recorded and the two-way interactive. Then, last but not the least, the third type is the audio-based courses, or for audio-based courses, this includes everything from phone, telephone conference, radio broadcasting, and pre-recorded CD. Can you hear my dog? Can you hear the dog? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
But it's okay po.
very loud. I'm so sorry. That's my problem. Anyway, I apologize for that. I cannot kill my dog.
It's okay, ma'am.
Then, okay, I'm sorry for that. Who offered distance learning? Distance learning actually was offered for bachelor's degree program, master's degree program, and doctorate degree programs for Open University. But this is not only on the bachelor, master, or doctorate program. DepEd also has this in the ALS. Are you familiar with ALS? Hello, are you familiar with ALS? Hi. Yes. Okay, that's good. So when we talk of ALS, it is a ladderized and modular non-formal education program for dropouts in elementary and secondary. And when they finish the module, then they could take the placement test and it will qualify them. For example, an elementary, if they finish the course, it will qualify them to go to high school. The high school dropouts, if they take the learning, the ALS or the alternative learning system, and then they pass the placement test, they could enroll in college. In terms of ladderized programs that they have, they could go to ITIAP, the equivalency program. Our university in Leyte Normal has equivalency program. Unfortunately, from what I've heard, there are no takers. But if you know anyone who is taking ALS, they could apply for a ladderized program in the university, okay? What are the advantages of distance learning modalities? Anybody? Do you know of any advantage of distance learning modality? From the participant, could I get an answer? Could anybody answer? Pwede mag-oral? Go on. Just give your answer. Sige, on the chat box. If it's possible for me to see you, it would be better. Flexible. Go on, go on. Advantages of distance learning modalities. Go on. That's good. Okay. First advantage is accessibility or accessible. Students will have access to everything they need, which means they won't have to carry many books or materials. Another is it reduces social anxiety. Students who experience social anxiety during face-to-face classes may feel more confident in their interaction by chatting through text and video. Isn't it? That when perhaps when you attended face-to-face classes and you are asked to recite, perhaps you would feel shy because you are not confident. But if it is online, then students are more confident. That's why one of the advantages is that it reduces social anxiety. Next is flexible scheduling. Oh my God. Excuse me for a while. I will just try to stop my dog from barking. Hello. I'm back. I'm sorry. Then flexible scheduling opportunities. Next is health, safety, and the students stay healthy. And also because they don't go to the class face to face, they make others healthy or they keep others healthy. It allows self-paced learning. I guess the dog will not stop from barking. Oh, good, my goodness. Anyway, it allows for self-paced learning, meaning the students could study anywhere and anytime. Students also are able to prepare for working at home. So, for example, since they are used to online learning or online teaching, then this is already a practice for them to become to work from home. Ano ito? Mga call centers, di ba? Call center agents. And also, there are many work from home that earns even bigger actually than teachers. Work from home lang ha, through the internet. They are medical transcriber, they are online teachers, they could do that. So they are already practicing, and this is a good opportunity for them to practice. Next is teachers' time management. Of course, if the student is responsible, then they will be able to learn to manage their time properly. It provides network opportunities because they will gain friends through the use of social media or different platforms. Since they learn online, they stay at home, then families are able to bond together. They spend more time at home with their family. Not like when it was face to face. When it was face to face, they stay most of the time in school. They go home either to eat or to sleep or to do their work. But now they are already with their family. How about to the parents? These are some of the important advantages. First, there is no commute, meaning the students does not need to wake up very early to wait for the transportation. The parents will not have anxiety whether their students, their children are in school early or are they late, and then what time their child or children will be coming back home. Also, actually, they don't, since they don't commute, they are able to save money. Am I correct? So it reduces the cost of schooling. They don't pay for rental for boarding house. They don't ask for allowances in the